Hi, my name is Veda Fountain. I am a student nurse at the USA College of Nursing, and today I will be doing your neuro assessment. If you could tell me your name.
Jesse Matthews.
Okay, good. So we're going to start off with your appearance. I can tell that you're well groomed, you look like you have good hygiene, your posture is erect, and you look like you are dressed normally. So moving on to your behavior, I can tell that your level of consciousness, you're alert and oriented. You spoke to me, so that's really good. You're giving me minimal facial expressions right now, and your mood seems to be relatively happy. I guess we'll figure that out later on. I'm not really suspecting any kind of anxiety or depression, and if I was, then I would get the proper tools and explore deeper. So now we're going to move on to cognitive abilities. If you could tell me my name.
Veda Fountain.
Okay, good. So if you could tell me what time of day it is, whether it be morning, evening, or nighttime.
Evening.
Good. Okay, so we're going to test your recent memory. So if you could tell me what you ate for lunch today.
Wendy's Baconator.
Okay, good. Now moving on to your remote memory, if you could tell me who the president was before Donald Trump.
Barack Obama.
Good. Okay, so now we're going to move on to your reasoning. Your thought process is the reasoning portion. So tell me, say that you're driving down the road one day and then you see blue lights flashing behind you. What would you do?
Pull over and wait.
Good. Okay, so now moving on to your abstract thinking. Say that somebody says that they are looking for something, like looking for a needle in a haystack. What does that mean to you?
Searching for something that's hard to find.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so now we're going to move on to your cranial nerves. So first off, we're going to start off with cranial nerve number 1. It's going to be the olfactory nerve. So what I need you to do is we're going to test for patency. So I'm going to get you to occlude one nose and sniff, and then occlude the other nose and sniff. Okay. Okay, so I know that your nostrils are semi-patent. So now we're going to move on to the sniff test. So for the sniff test, I'm going to get you to close your eyes. I'm going to get you to occlude one nostril, and then I'm going to get a scent, and I want you to sniff it and identify it.
Cinnamon?
Good.
Ground cinnamon?
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so now occlude the other one, and take a sniff.
Vanilla?
Good. Okay, so your cranial nerve number 1, the olfactory nerve, is intact. Then moving on to cranial nerve number 2, the optic nerve. For this one, we're going to test your visual acuity. And normally what we would do is we would have a Snellen eye chart, and I would get you to stand about 20 feet away from it, and I would get you to read the lowest line. But since we don't have that one, we're going to be doing a handheld eye screener. So I'm going to go right at about 14 inches away, and if you could cover one eye for me, thank you, and read the lowest line.
937-826.
Okay. So you read at about a 20-25. So what that means is what the normal person can read at 25 feet, you have to read at 20 feet, okay? So your cranial nerve number 2, the optic nerve, is good. So now we're going to move on to cranial nerves number 3, 4, and 6. It's going to be the ocular motor, the trochlear, and the abducens. So for this one, we're going to test for Perlac. So to start off, we're going to test and see how big your pupils are. If you could just look at me. All right, your pupils are at about a 6. So for the first spot, we're going to see if your pupils will react to light. Okay, so we're going to do the direct first. If you can just keep looking at me. Good. And then consensual. Good. Okay, so both your pupils are constricted. Now for accommodation, what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to stare at the flowers on the wall, and I'm going to make note and see if your pupils dilate. Okay, your pupils dilated. Good. Now if you will, look at my finger. Good, your pupils constricted. Now follow my fingers in. All right, good. So I made note that your pupils accommodated, and then your pupils converged on their axes. So after that, we're going to go ahead and do the 6 cardinal positions of gaze. So if you could, follow my pen light for me and keep your head still. Good. Okay, so I noted parallel tracking and no nystagmus. So your cranial nerves, number 3, 4, and 6 are intact. Okay, so now moving on to your cranial nerve number 5, the trigeminal nerve. I'm going to start off with getting you to close your eyes. I'm going to touch your face, and you just let me know whenever you feel it. Okay, you can just say now.
Now.
Good.
Now.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
Now.
Good.
Now.
Okay, good. You can open your eyes. So what I'm going to get you to do is clench your jaw. Okay. And I'm feeling that it is symmetrical, and now resist me pulling down. Okay, good. So your cranial nerve number 5, the trigeminal nerve, is intact. Now moving on to cranial nerve number 7, the facial nerve. So for the sensory portion, what I would do is get something sweet, salty, or sour and place it on the anterior 2/3 of your tongue, and I would get you to identify it. And then for the motor portion, I'm gonna get you to make a couple faces for me, okay? So I want you to smile, frown, puff out your cheeks, and raise your eyebrows. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna get you to close your eyes and resist me opening them, okay? Okay, good. So your cranial nerve number 7 is intact. Now moving on to cranial nerve number 8, is going to be the vestibulocochlear nerve. And for this one, we're going to test to see if you can hear high pitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my hand up. I'm going to whisper something. I'm going to get you to occlude one ear for me. And then I'm going to whisper a word, and I want you to repeat it back to me, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead. Okay. Table.
Table.
Okay, good. Now occlude the other ear. Okay, good. Coffee.
Coffee.
Good. Okay, so your cranial nerve number 8, the vestibulocochlear nerve, is intact. So moving on to cranial nerves number 9 and 10 is going to be your glossopharyngeal and your vagus nerve. So for this one, what I'm going to get you to do is stick out your tongue and say ah for me.
Ah.
Okay, good. So your uvula is midline and it raised on pronation. Another thing we would do is get like a popsicle stick and test your gag reflex, but we're not going to do that one. And also another thing that we would do is place something sweet, salty, or sour on the posterior 1/3 of your tongue, but we're also not going to do that one. But in that case, I would just get you to identify whatever you tasted. Okay, now moving on to the spinal accessory nerve, which is going to be cranial nerve number 11. Yeah. So for this one, I'm going to get you, I make note that your neck and your shoulders are symmetrical. And for this one, I'm going to get you to shrug your shoulders against resistance. Okay, good. And then turn your face against resistance. Okay. And the other side. Okay, good. So your cranial nerve number 11, the spinal accessory nerve, is intact. Now moving on to cranial nerve number 12, the hypoglossal. I'm going to go ahead and get you to stick your tongue out, like so. Okay, good. I know that your tongue is midline, so it's good. I'm going to get you to repeat the words. Okay. Light, tight, dynamite.
Light, tight, dynamite.
Okay, good. So your cranial nerve number 12 is intact. So after this, we're going to move on to your gait, and we're going to test for we're going to do the Romberg test. So if you could, for me, get up, and I'm going to get you to, I'm going to move this chair slightly out of the way. Okay, so what I'm going to get you to do is walk towards the couch for me, just normally. Okay, I make note that your gait is normal. Now if you could turn around and walk heel to toe for me, tandem walking for me. Okay, good. So I make note that you have minimal swing, your gait is normal, I see nothing out of the ordinary. So next we're going to do the Romberg test. So for the Romberg test, I'm going to get you to go ahead and stand at attention for me. Okay, and close your eyes. Okay, and then I'm going to make note of any kind of swing or anything like that. And I make note, okay, you're good, you can open your eyes. I would do this for about 20 seconds. And I make note that it is a negative Romberg test. Okay, so okay, you can have a seat. Okay, good. Okay, now we're going to move on to your pain perception. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what sharp feels like and then what dull feels like. And then after this, I'm going to go on to all 4 of your extremities and either poke you or touch you with it. And then you let me know whether you feel sharp pain or you feel dull pain, okay? So this is what sharp feels like, and then this is what dull feels like, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to get you to close your eyes for me, okay?
Sharp.
Good.
Dull.
Good. Move down here.
Dull.
Okay.
Dull.
Good. Okay, so you can open your eyes. So you got 3 out of the 4 right on that one, so your pain perception is relatively okay. All right, so now we're going to move on to your tendon reflexes. So first off, we're going to start with the biceps tendon. Biceps reflex, I guess. So we're going to find the tendon here. And it's okay if nothing happens. Okay, so there's that one. Then we're going to move on to the tricep one. Okay. All right, so moving on to the patellar. Okay. So relax his leg for me, just relax. Okay, and then we're going to move on to, jeez. Okay, if you can hold it. Nope, no, no. Yeah, wait. Nope, okay, that's good. Now we're gonna move on to the Achilles. Okay, moves back up. Forward. Okay, and then we're going to test for your Babinski reflex. Okay, good. Okay. So your tendon reflexes were at about a 2+, so that's good. Okay, so now throughout this whole thing, I was testing for your GCS, which is the Glasgow Coma Scale. So the total or the max points are, okay, let me squeeze it. So the max points you can get is a 15, and the lowest you can get is a 3. Anything below a 7 is considered a coma. So there is a motor portion, a verbal portion, and a eye-opening portion, and you give me spontaneous eye-opening. So you get a max point for the eye-opening is a 4, and then for the motor portion, you help me with the motor portion and you move around, so you get a max point of 6. And then for the verbal portion, you gave me good verbal response, so you get a total of 5. And then so that brings your total out to be 15, which is a max. And that concludes my neuro assessment.